Hey you folks, late September still on this week away, really trying to ram these in. Check out this beauty. It's just past its best. Most of the flowers are fading, but I think I can still do it justice. Just have a gaze at it as I come back a bit. Pretty spectacular. It's called Acacia decora, the decorative wattle. And that's what decora means. It basically means beautiful, showy, decorative. It's a really beautiful plant, really common out in these tablelands, Western Slopes areas. I'm just on the road between Bathurst and Cowra, just heading to Cowra for the night. I saw this and I had to stop and make a video. I know it's not typically in its typical habitat in some woodlands, but this is where it likes to grow, just on the side of the road, really commonly. There is a eucalyptus woodland back there with things like Bridgesiana, and there's a few shrubs in there. But I reckon we could just do these ones and do it justice. I'll have to battle with the traffic, but it's got a pretty big range, Acacia decora. It's Queensland, New South Wales, Victoria. Again, in Victoria, it just gets into the northern parts, but on a line between about Albury and Shepparton. It's sort of just there. There's some records around Melbourne, but I think they might just be garden specimens or botanic garden specimens. It seems to peter out there in the north of Victoria. It's all through New South Wales on the tablelands and Western Slopes. That's where it likes to hang out. Tablelands, Western Slopes, maybe out to about, again, the Dubbo area. It might go a little bit further than that. I think it might get out onto the Western Plains, beyond Griffith, that sort of area there. And in Queensland, it goes up the tablelands and the western or central western parts to the north of Cairns. It gets to the north of Cairns. That's how far up it goes. So a pretty big range. I don't know if that beats Acacia myrtifolia, but it's still a big range. They get to about 4 metres tall. And I reckon this one I've got here, I don't normally see them much bigger than this. It's got a bit of dieback on it. It's got very smooth branches. And it's got a lot of chunks coming off of it. This one here is probably about, I reckon it's about possibly 8 metres wide, but it's only about 3 metres tall, or maybe even 2.5, but it's about 8 metres wide. So it's quite incredible. There's a big smooth chunk in there, which the stems just sort of look like something like Acacia, maybe floribunda or something like that. They're nice and smooth. They've got a nice pattern on them, actually. I haven't taken a lot of time to look at the stems. Nice and grey, very smooth. And the phyllodes, you sort of pick it because they're long and narrow. And they're a little bit sort of olive green to bluey green a lot of the time. They're meant to be up to 6 centimetres long or thereabouts, and only 1 centimetre wide. When I see them in New South Wales, I don't see them anywhere near 1 centimetre wide. I see them more like maybe something like 2 mils, 1 or 2 mils, but apparently across the range, they're meant to be up to 1 centimetre wide. I've never really seen them that wide in New South Wales. If I did, I would probably start thinking it was something else. This is what I typically see. They're about maybe 2 millimetres wide. That's what I typically see. They're reported as having 1 to 2 glands, and I haven't even had a look yet. But 1 to 2 glands on the phyllodes. And the first one is sort of lower down, I think, to within 15 mil of the pulvinus. And then there's a second one, possibly. So it's 1 or 2. I haven't read that they're absent. I've just read so far that there's 1 or 2 glands. It's just one of those wattles where I haven't taken a lot of time to look at its additional features because it's so easy to identify just when you're out in this part of the world and it's on the side of the road like this. I'm sort of struggling with these glands a bit. just because the leaves are so narrow. But they're meant to be there somewhere. Just a bit difficult to find at the moment. I'll just try one more sprig. See if I can get this working a bit. Don't know if the sun will... I'm just in the late afternoon sun here, and it's pretty warm today. Yeah, there might be some there. They're not meant to be overly conspicuous. Having a hard time finding them. And I guess what you might link this one to is Acacia fimbriata. It does look a little bit fimbriata. I would say the phyllodes are a bit narrower, mainly when I see it here. And they're not as tall. They're not as tall as fimbriata. Fimbriata will grow into a nice big tree. These guys stick at about 2 to 3 metres. And 3.5 at the max, but that's as tall as I'll go. And the phyllodes are just a different colour to fimbriata. They're sort of grey-green, bluey-green. That's sort of the colour of them. Remember, the gland on fimbriata is very obvious. It's a very obvious gland. Here they're a bit not as showy. I've got my hand lenses in my pocket. I might just see if I can see the glands maybe after I film, but I'm just not picking them up at the moment. But they can have 1 or 2. There's a mucro there as well. Let's try and get that. There's a little mucro there on the tip. You can see it there. So genuine mucro, very bluey green decora. Fimbriata, I'd just say it's a lot more dark green than this one. Just have a go at the glands here. I just don't think I'm going to be able to pick them up. Maybe that's... maybe that's one there, that pale one. It'd be the upper side of the leaf again. Maybe that pale part there on that phyllodes, sort of in the middle there. And yeah, that pale part there. So there's the glands there, that pale part. And then just remember, you can bother to look for a second one if you want to. But yeah, there they are. Yeah, now I'm getting the glands. Gee, they took a while to show up. That's a really nice one there. Beautiful. Probably just leave it with that one, but yeah, that's a nice showy one. Gorgeous. The inflorescences, there's meant to be up to 15 heads on a raceme up to 6 centimetres long. So again, we got these sort of shorter racemes going on, which is sort of nestled in the leaves. And they're meant to be up to about 6 centimetres. So up to 15 heads in a spray. It's got the globular heads again. And then every globular head can have up to 15 to 30 flowers. So 15 to 30. Just trying to get, here we've got some that haven't quite opened. I'm amazed because the whole plant's in flower. And some of the heads have well and truly finished. You can see these ones are maybe still opening up. But the consensus is there's 15 to 30 flowers in a head. But I'm seeing, I reckon I'm seeing fewer here. Maybe they're still developing. But I think that's the consensus. Yeah, I just checked that again. So heads are meant to be 15 to 30 flowered. Though when I look at this one, I'm just not seeing that at all. I reckon there I'm seeing about, I mean, I'm not counting all over it, but maybe getting up to 10 heads, something like that. Though maybe they're still developing in some way, shape or form. But the rest of the plant's flowering, so you got to think that these are going to pop out really soon. And some of the flowers are starting to open. 6, 7, yeah, there I'm only seeing about, yeah, maybe around, 7, 8 flowers a head. So that's PlantNet, New South Wales Flora. Maybe the Wattle website will say something different. But just check out the amount of flowering. It's quite amazing. quite phenomenal. And they love a dry sclerophyll woodland, and they'll grow out in the open shrubland as well, on farms, and happily grow on roadsides. And they really are one of the most showy wattles, just when you go back like that. Absolutely beautiful. It's, yeah, just the last week of September, so they probably would have been in really full cry about a week ago, or maybe 2 weeks ago. They're just starting to lose their vigour here a bit. So that's Acacia decora. It's a really beautiful, I think it's an easy one to identify. It's just so common on the roadsides here. These narrow phyllodes, looking a bit like linifolia, but they're longer and I would say broader, and looking like fimbriata. It's a very fimbriata looking plant, but the phyllodes are sort of different, with a bit of a different texture. Maybe they're just a little bit more firm, and you just don't get a big plant. It's not very big. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if people maybe mistook it for fimbriata, but you just have to have a really good look at the phyllodes. It's the colour of the phyllodes that does it for me. Whether it integrates with fimbriata, I'm not too sure. But there's a whole copse of them here. They're well and truly stunning.